English. Today we're going to be talking a little bit more about adverbs. We're going to be talking about 6 different kinds of adverbs, but first I want to talk a little bit more about adverbs generally. So adverbs will generally modify verbs, adjectives, other adverbs, and prepositions. Or any other word you come across that can be modified that is not a noun, because adverbs never modify nouns. And I actually find that little fact to be quite helpful in trying to identify adverbs in sentences. If something isn't making sense or you are having trouble finding an adverb in a sentence, try pairing it with other kinds of words and just see if it creates a picture, see if it makes sense. We have some words that are sometimes nouns, sometimes verbs. We have some words that are sometimes adjectives, sometimes adverbs. We have all sorts of words that can be placed in a different context without ever really changing how they look at all. And then sometimes, obviously, we change words by adding suffixes or endings to words. And again, this is very helpful, at least with one specific ending, in identifying adverbs. A lot of adverbs will end in 2 letters, L, Y. If you can see that, it might help you identify adverbs in sentences. The other thing to note about adverbs is, unlike adjectives, which have a very strict order, adverbs can fit almost anywhere in sentences. But often their placement will determine not only how they're being used or what word they are modifying within the sentence, but sometimes even the meaning of the adverb. Let's get into the 6 different kinds of adverbs, and hopefully some of these claims will make sense as we move through it. Each of these different kinds of adverbs will generally answer a different question, with the exception of the last kind, but we'll tackle that when we get there. The first kind of adverbs are adverbs of time. These answer the question when. These are words like tomorrow, yesterday, now, soon. Single words that will answer the question when would be adverbs of time. Next, we have adverbs of frequency. Now, these can often be confused with adverbs of time, but really they're answering a different question. Adverbs of frequency would be answering the question of how often, which often we would say, well, when? When is the train coming, right? If I'm asking how often does it come, I might ask also, when is it coming, okay? But technically speaking, different question and different kinds of adverbs, but these would be adverbs like often, frequently, infrequently, never, rarely, okay? So adverbs of frequency would answer the question, how often does something occur, or how often does it come, or that kind of a sense, that kind of a thing. Next, we have adverbs of place. Adverbs of place answer the question, where? Again, here it kind of behooves us to just take a moment and say that some of these words are often also used as prepositions. So how do you know if something is an adverb or a preposition? Well, remember, adverbs never modify nouns. We haven't done the video on prepositions yet, but when we get there, I'll be telling you that prepositions pretty much exclusively get paired with nouns. We'll get more into that when we deal with prepositional phrases, but just know that often adverbs of place and even some adverbs of time will also be seen as prepositions in a different context. Next, we have adverbs of manner. These would answer the question how, okay, or in what way. One example of an adverb of manner is another really good example to look at because it's one that is often confused and is frankly often confusing. Let's look at the word hard. If I say, I went for a hard run. Then the verb there is went, to go, right? And it's the simple past. It's talking about sometime in the past I went for a hard run. There, the word hard is an adjective describing the noun run. And as you hopefully know, run could also be a verb. Hard, in another context, could also be an adverb. And since that's the video lesson today, let's look at how hard can be used as an adverb. I ran hard. Here is a good example of how we can see the same words being used as different kinds of words. Hard, as an adverb, a lot of English learners want to make the adjective, the hard run, into an adverb by adding ly, which is what we often do to change adjectives into adverbs. But if you add ly to hard, you get hardly. It is an adverb of degree, which answers the question, how much, or to what degree, which is a little different than how, or in what way, or in what manner. Hardly is one of these kinds of adverbs. It's an adverb of degree, saying not much at all, right? So if I say, I hardly ran last week, then that means I didn't go for many runs, or I didn't run much at all. I still ran a little bit, I just hardly ran, which is not the same as I ran hard. In fact, it's almost the exact opposite. But these are also answering different questions. This is why looking at the language and identifying the kind of word within a context becomes increasingly important as you start to develop your vocabulary and use words differently. Or as you continue to learn and you become exposed to more complex sentence structures, we want you to be able to identify the pieces or visualize the kind of piece that it is by adding these different shapes. You can either put it in the margins above, put it below. We'll hopefully eventually have some practical tools in which you can do this yourself or in other ways. Anyhow, the last kind of adverb we're going to be talking about today are conjunctive adverbs. And these don't actually answer a question. What they're doing is they're giving some sort of relationship, some sort of connective relationship between ideas or clauses or words. And in the case of conjunctive adverbs, they are often just used as transition words to maintain a certain flow of thought or of dialogue or of writing. So these are words like moreover, therefore, thus. These are words that are generally used to sort of connect ideas together. But as we get into the actual kinds of words called conjunctions, which will be the last kind we're dealing with within this introductory series, you will hopefully see better what I mean. Because adverbs are able to modify so much in terms of language, they can be confusing when it comes to their place, especially in relationship to other kinds of words or groups of words, phrases that essentially have the same job. A lot of language deals with shared roles. The exception, obviously, is adjectives and adverbs. They don't share much at all. I mean, adverbs can modify adjectives, but adverbs don't modify nouns, and adjectives don't modify anything but nouns. So that's really the main takeaway here. Practice, 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 communicate, ask questions, comment below. Let's maintain a dialogue. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. Please like, share, subscribe, all the things, and until next time.